Good afternoon. Today I'll continue to be talking about the coronavirus, but today I want to focus on the coronavirus vaccine developed by the company Moderna in Massachusetts, where the first clinical testing of humans has been started this week of this vaccine. So what I wanted to do is first explain what the vaccine is and then how it's going to work and its benefits. So the first thing that this vaccine is using mRNA 1273. Basically, what messenger RNA or mRNA is that messenger RNA is used to copy the DNA's code sequence and transfer it into ribosomes, which will then help the ribosome make proteins that the body needs to keep the cell functional and alive. So basically the mRNA, you can think of it as that the mRNA makes proteins. And we need proteins because proteins are the building blocks of the cell, and proteins do all the functions that the cell does basically. And so the second thing I'd like to talk about is that how this vaccine will help the body build an immunized response. So this vaccine does not act like usual vaccines, where the usual vaccine is that you inject weakened or almost dying pathogens into your body, and the body will build an immunized response against these weakened pathogens, so that next time, if the real strong and healthy pathogens enter your body already has the antibodies and the immunized response ready because it's already meet the weakened, almost dying pathogens. Instead, this vaccine is going to have a mRNA sequence that is going to be injected into your cells, and that this mRNA sequence will produce spike proteins. So what are spike proteins? Spike proteins are basically proteins on the coronavirus, because the coronavirus has a bunch of spikes on the virus body, making it look like a crown-shaped virus or whatever. But basically, the spike proteins help the coronavirus enter your host cells, basically your cells, to gain entry and start infecting your cell. So what's going to happen is that the mRNA will essentially make these spike proteins to simulate the coronavirus, so that the body will build up an immunized response against these spike proteins, and in turn they will train these spike proteins to fight coronavirus if it is possible that the coronavirus comes along, the body recognizes the spike proteins and will realize that this is a foreign object trying to enter the cell, and will build an immunized response, because currently our body cells don't have a response against the coronavirus, and that is why the virus is so deadly to people of all ages, is likely to get sick. And so the vaccine's benefits are simply speed. It is the first vaccine ever developed in US to already start a human clinical trial testing in phase 1. What happened was that the company Moderna, I'm not sure if I'm pronounced that correctly, but the company has already been developing vaccines for SARS and MERS, which are all coronavirus, which are very similar to the coronavirus. And because they already have almost like a vaccine ready, when the coronavirus's genetic sequence came out, all the scientists had to do, with the help of the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, basically all they had to do was just find the right code sequence that will code for the spike proteins. And now because this vaccine was so fast, like it was developed so quickly, we can actually help we may actually be able to find a vaccine quicker, because usually finding a vaccine takes years, at least like 5 2 years, maybe even 15 years. But now it's been done in record speed, and so they will be injecting this vaccine into the healthy volunteers ages from 18 to 55. Because we're not injecting weakened pathogens into these volunteers' bodies, it's really unlikely that they'll actually get sick unless they contract the coronavirus and the vaccine fails. So they're going to be monitoring these people for a year, and if that is successful, then we can go into phase 2 of the clinical trial, and until the FDA approves it, then we can actually, like, the most of the American population can't get the vaccine. But just a heads up, it's gonna take at least a year, if not 2, to actually be able to get the vaccine ready. But that's it, and thank you for listening.